Today I'm testing the theory of whether a long paddle stroke or a short paddle stroke is actually faster. I'll be doing a series of tests using different amounts of effort with each paddle stroke type to help show the data behind which type of paddle stroke is the most efficient at providing you with the most distance. Let me just start by saying that after reviewing the results, it's quite obvious which one is the winner. What is up, guys? Welcome back to yet another beautiful day here in La Paz, Baja California Sur, Mexico. Got some nice conditions on the water today, around 5 knots of wind, and only about a foot in difference in tidal change, so not too much current. So I'm super stoked to be out here today, testing out these paddle stroke lengths and which one will actually help you paddle farther. Now today's tests are based upon effort and more precisely on heart rate zones. So for the first test, I'm gonna be paddling for 8 minutes in zone 2 with a short paddle stroke. And I'll do the same thing over once again, using long strokes for 8 minutes as well. Then I'll take a little break and I'll do 4 minutes in zone 4, the same thing. 4 minutes a short stroke, 4 minutes long stroke. Little break, and then I'll end out with 30 seconds full out with short strokes and 30 seconds full out with long strokes. So there should be some interesting results here today. I'm super stoked to just kind of see which of these paddle strokes actually will make a difference in my paddling and ultimately help me paddle farther, being more efficient as well as my paddle strokes. Now in today's testing, obviously the shorter paddle strokes, there will be a higher cadency rate, which means I'm getting in more strokes per minute versus the longer paddle strokes. But as I said earlier, my main goal today is focused on effort and keep my heart rate in the same zones for this testing. That way I can really see which one helps me paddle farther with the same amount of effort, no matter what's more or less paddle strokes per minute with a higher or lower cadency, but rather focused on same amount of effort going into each paddle stroke, the same amount of time to see which one will actually help you paddle farther. So with all that being said, I'm gonna finish up my little warm-up paddle here, and then we'll get started with the first round of zone 2 for 8 minutes with a short paddle stroke. Let's do it. All right, here we go. 8 minutes of zone 2 paddling with short paddle strokes. So in this zone, I'm keeping my heart rate at around 140 beats per minute with my paddle stroke. Still getting good reach, but I'm exiting the blade around my feet for that shorter paddle stroke. All right, same effort now, but focus on longer paddle strokes. I should also mention that I am wearing a chest heart rate monitor or help my heart rate stats to be more accurate. All right, that wraps up zone 2 of paddling for short, long paddle strokes. Got a minute rest here, and then I'll start zone 4 for 4 minutes, back to the short paddle stroke once again. Now the first round I was paddling with the current, so now I'm gonna paddle against the current for this zone 4. But for both the short and long paddle stroke, I'm also making sure I paddle the same direction the current for both those, keep them with accurate results. All right, here we go. Zone 4, with short paddle strokes. So get my heart rate to around 165. All right, into that round. Heart rate's currently at 170, so went a little bit harder in that last round, so I'll try to keep this next round a long paddle stroke, also around 170 beats per minute. Whew. So I'm doing a 4-minute rest here, so I'll start the next round of zone 4 with a long paddle stroke. All right, here we go. Zone 4, long paddle strokes. All right, 4 minutes done. Heart rate was a little bit higher for that last round. Probably because that longer stroke does take a little bit more effort. I should have gone just a tad bit easier. I'm also a little bit more tired from the previous rounds as well, so doing the best I can do to get the results as close to possible to being accurate. All right, let's do 5-minute cool down or rest period. Do these last 2 rounds of 30 seconds. Full out max effort. Woo! All right, 10 seconds left. Here we go. Woo. 5-minute cool down. Woo. Feeling the burn on that one. Oh. One more left with the long paddle stroke. Oh, buddy. 10 seconds. Here we go. Did it. Catch my breath here a second. Woo! That was a good one. And a tiring one. But let's head back to the office on the computer and check out the results. All right, so I'm back in the office now, and obviously I've already had a chance to review the data from the testing I did the other day. And let's just say the results are pretty obvious of which one is clearly the winner in terms of which paddle stroke actually provides you with more distance with the same amount of effort applied. So real quick, the way I did this testing and the way I structured it the other way was actually I used my smartwatch to record the workout, and I created this workout plan here in a platform called Final Surge. So what I did through this workout was I created the different segments of time links to help me know when to paddle hard in different zones for this testing that I did the other day. So in this platform here on Final Surge, we can see we have a full summary of the workout I did the other day of all the testing. At the top here we have the different kilometers and how much time it took me to cover each one of those kilometers. And down here you see my pacing, my heart rate, and then once again the kilometers covered during that time. So as you see right here at the beginning, with my heart rate, that's what we're focused on for this testing today. Just a nice warm up, and took a little pause here to talk to you guys on the camera. And then I dove right into the first round of zone 2 paddling for 8 minutes with the short paddle stroke. And then I did it over once again with a long paddle stroke in zone 2. So you can see right here, I kept this whole range here. I hovered a little bit up and down, obviously, but I kept it in that zone 2 for both those tests. Then once again, I took a little break here, and then I dove right into the zone 4 testing for the short paddle stroke here. Got my heart rate around 172 beats per minute, so kind of towards the upper end of my zone 4 right here. And then took a little break, then went to zone 4 once again after about a 5-minute break into my zone 4 once again with the long paddle stroke. This one I first did put a tad bit more effort in. You can see I'm kind of hovering up towards the bottom end of my zone 5. And so kind of took that in consideration for the results, as well as here I was kind of more in the upper 170 range, where the first round was more towards the lower 170 range in terms of effort with my heart rate. So after that, I took a little break here again, and then I dove into the last round of paddling at max effort, max heart rate for 30 seconds all out for a short paddle stroke. Took a nice break, big break once again, and did it one more time, all out effort for the long paddle stroke testing. So with all that being said, let's now take a look at the official results of how much distance was actually covered in each one of those zones with the different paddle stroke length types. So moving into the first round of zone 2, the short paddle stroke, I was able to cover 0.92 of a kilometer in 8 minutes. Then with a long paddle stroke and the same amount of effort in zone 2, with the same amount of time of 8 minutes, I was able to cover 0.61 distance in a kilometer. So you can see right there, right away in that longer paddle session of 8 minutes, just at a slow pace in zone 2, the short paddle stroke obviously took the win in that test. Then moving on to the zone 4 testing, where I paddled at that level of heart rate for 4 minutes. The short stroke, I was able to cover 0.59 of a kilometer. And then a long stroke with the same amount of situations, zone 4, 4 minutes, I was able to cover 0.56 of a kilometer. So once again, the short paddle stroke, I was able to cover more distance with the same amount of effort in that zone. And as I mentioned earlier as well, for that testing for the zone 4, I did put a tiny bit more effort into that long paddle stroke. But even with that tiny bit of extra effort, the short paddle stroke was still able to cover more distance in that same amount of time. So that's super interesting. Then lastly, for that last test, I did 30 seconds at just an all-out max heart rate effort in zone 5. And for the short paddle stroke, for those 30 seconds, I was able to cover 0.09 of a kilometer. And then a long paddle stroke, I was able to cover 0.07 of a kilometer. So as you can see right here with all these official results from zone 2 all the way to zone 5, in each one of those categories, the short paddle stroke clearly had the advantage of covering more distance for that same amount of time and same amount of effort in each one of those categories. So for me, that's super interesting to kind of look at, and hopefully it's for you as well. Now this video is not a fully in-depth view of how these different paddle strokes not only affect your body and the amount of power you can put into the paddle stroke, or even how your board is reacting in the water. These different types of paddleboard strokes can affect things like how far your board glides in the water, as well as how low it sinks during each paddle stroke. So things like that, as well as some other things to take into consideration. There's a lot of things that can affect with how far your board is gliding in the water during each one of those types of paddleboard strokes. So like I said, there's a whole lot more you can analyze and determine which type of paddle stroke will really help you paddle farther with the same amount of effort. But as from today's testing, as you can see, is I simply just paddled in these different zones with the same amount of effort using different stroke lengths with the shorter stroke versus a longer stroke, that the clear winner for my testing today was a shorter paddle stroke. So with that information, I'm continuing to apply it to even my own paddle stroke to help me find that sweet spot of how fast or how high of a cadency I should be using with my paddle stroke to help me cover the most amount of distance with the least amount of effort. So anyways, I'd love to hear more of your thoughts about today's testing as well in the comments down below. Share whether you think this was a good test to do, or maybe it was a bad test to do, or maybe you have some other test suggestions that I should do in the future for some other videos to look further into which type of paddle stroke we should be using on the water. That's it for today's video though, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.